Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Two for Talking podcast. I'm your host, Corey Tusick. We've got comedian Joe Bartnick. You can check him out up in Boston at Nick's Comedy Stop this weekend, and then also at the WDVE Comedy Fest. That's June 27th, and you can check out all his tour dates at joebartnick.com. And as always, we've got the great Josh Yohe with The Athletic. Thank you to our sponsors, Bill Neofis and Danny's Pizza and Hoagies. And Labatt Beer. Labatt Beer is brewed for the chirps, the salty jabs in your group chat Hall of Fame, the salty jabs in your group chat Hall of Fame, and for that one friend who just can't skate in men's league. We all have that friend. Labatt Beer, born in Canada, brewed in the U.S., united by the sacred art of trash talk. So let's just cut right to the chase. We'll talk NHL, all that kind of stuff, the NHL playoffs later. But Kyle Dubas had his press conference today, his end of season press conference. And the big news to me, Josh, it sounds like Evgeny Malkin is probably coming back. You usually don't say we'd love to have him back if you don't want him back.
Yeah, that was my take. I think if he absolutely was ruling out the idea of bringing Malkin back, he probably would have just said that at the beginning of his press conference. The whole thing was and is still kind of weird. Like, I don't know why the contract couldn't be taken care of already, given that I don't think Gino's trying to break the bank here. And he I don't want to say he took passive aggressive shots at Gino, but it was like the press conference was 2 minutes in and he mentioned his suspension twice in the first 2 minutes. And then he mentioned that, he's not genetically like Crosby and Letang, and basically suggested that he's not going to give you an 82 game, workload every season, that kind of thing. But yes, he still came out and said, we'd love to have him back, and we'll be talking with JP Barry, and I think they already have. And he used the word nostalgia, which is a wild word for a general manager to use. He said, I know, I forget exactly what the quote was, but basically I know it was talking about the fans and how important it is to them, Crosby, Malkin, Letang. So given what he said at the press conference, I think there's a real chance that he comes back for another year. And he did mention that some of the younger players aren't exactly pushing him yet. And Joe, I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, Josh, as me being in Gino corner, I don't think you could have asked for anything other than Gino standing next to him with a signed contract. I really think, and I didn't even catch the passive aggressiveness of. He did say, I think, the suspension twice, but I thought just saying how he 3 times, could have gone down, but he came back even stronger. I thought those were positives, and I thought, we had a great exit talk. I'm talking to his representatives, and would love to have him back. I mean, I don't know unless he's just saying this up for the big long play of, well, Gino wanted 2 years or Gino wanted too much money. But we all know Gino caves,
right?
And he wants.
And I don't think he's setting that up. I think in Kyle's perfect world, guys like Ville Koivunen and Rucker McGorty would be a lot further along than they are, and maybe the free agency market would be a lot better than it is. As I've told you guys before, I know for a fact a year ago at this time he didn't have any intention of bringing Malkin back, but I think, given the season that he had, given that the young guys haven't performed as well as they'd like, and there's really nobody out there to get in free agency, like, what else are you going to do? I don't think Kyle cares about the nostalgia at all, even though he mentioned it. I think he's just trying to field as good of a team as he can, and you're still going to get Malkin for cheap, who obviously had a very good season. So I think you add it all up, and that's why it makes sense.
Josh, you could never think that he was going to have as good a season as he did. You take away the suspension, who would have thought he was going to play a point per game, really get a running mate in Chinikov, move over to wing, no boo-boo face, sometimes not play on the top power play, no boo-boo face, and and take different people under his wing. Really, it was the best possible, other than the suspension. But he comes back and gets a hat trick. Like, what other? There's no other really. He had a great year. They can't take that away from him.
No, he absolutely did. And when Dubas talked about what he liked and what he didn't like about this past season, he specifically mentioned the ability to score goals. And I don't think I need to tell anybody that Malkin played a big role in that. He obviously did. Especially, I thought his work with Chinikov and Novak on that line. We know how good that line is. his chemistry with Chinikov alone, that's a really big deal. If that can be your second line for another season, sure. If he can keep playing at that level. So, yeah, I think if you want Malkin to return, you come away from this press conference feeling really good. I don't think there's any question about it. I think, like I said, there are some things that you can still look at like, why isn't it done yet? But that's how contracts work sometimes. Like Sid didn't sign his contract last time until September. So these things don't always happen quickly. And I think Gino would be, if they told Gino, listen, you're getting one more year. This is your last year. We're telling you right now. Like he'd be okay with that. I really believe that.
Josh, now, our buddy Seth Rohrabaugh said the elephant in the room was Gino. The other elephant in the room, which I know if the powers that be didn't send you to the World Championships, and God bless, you can enjoy with your lovely lady the wonders of Sweden and Switzerland, you would have addressed the other elephant in the room, which Dubas almost teased like a Grateful Dead show, like teasing. He said, we need work on the blue line. We've been working on it the last 2 weeks. Nobody asked, what are they going to do with 58? Or is it just a done deal? We're stuck with him. Is
I was waiting for that question.
Assumed?
I was surprised that didn't come up. And yeah, for those who, if I wasn't there, the Athletic is sending me to Switzerland for the World Championships. I have a wedding to go to in Sweden in a couple of days, which is why I'm in Stockholm for the third time in the past year. I'm a Stockholm expert at this point. I really know my way around Sweden quite well. Nobody asked him specifically. He brought up Letang in very glowing ways at one point when he was actually talking about Malkin maybe not being able to play a full 82 all the time. And he said Crosby and Letang are different genetically, and that is true. But what also is true is that Letang was a terrible defensive player most of this season. That's reality. And when Dubas was talking about things he liked about this team and things he didn't like, he immediately brought up the fact that they're just not that good defensively and how that bothers him and how he wants to address that and make them better. Does that mean Letang gets bought out or doesn't come back next season? I don't know about that. Anything's possible. I don't know. I haven't heard that that's going to happen. What I do know is if he is on the team next season, his responsibilities and duties need to be lessened significantly. You can't have him on the ice 24 minutes a night or 20 minutes a night. Given the decline that we've seen from him the last couple of years, I don't think that makes any sense at all. But no, he didn't really talk about Letang much, even though he talked for more than 40 minutes. It's going to be something very interesting to keep an eye on this summer for sure.
Do you think Letang would accept that role of playing 13, 14 minutes? Because I'd say no, but like look at what Gino's doing. I mean, like the fact that Gino said, like I play third line, I play, he just hasn't come out and said he'd play second power play, which is what we all need him to say. But like, would Letang take that reduced role?
I think he would take it. My concern with Letang, Joe, is that he just can never change his game. Like the loud mistakes that we see, he still tries to play like he's 25. He can't simplify his game, or he chooses not to. That's what I see more than anything. If they put him on the third pair, he might not like it, but I think he would deal with it and accept it. I think he'd have to. I just don't know if he can play 14 minutes a night and still not make noisy mistakes all the time.
I was going to say, Josh, I'm confident that he can still suck in 14 minutes just as bad as he can in 23.
That's the problem.
Right? There's still going to be, he can be a -3 with 8 minutes of ice time.
That's true, depending on the night.
No, I mean that's very true. And who plays ahead of him? We know Carlson will be the number one defenseman on the right side. Who slots in above him? Is Harrison Brunick ready for that role? He certainly wasn't this season. He's made a lot of strides from people I've talked with in Wilkes-Barre. He's looked really, really good in the playoffs. He's playing great. I don't know that he's ready for a top 4 role in the NHL at age 20. Do you go get somebody on the market? Do you make a trade? I don't know. But I do know that if they play Letang more than 20 minutes a season next year, I don't see how we're not having this exact conversation a year from now about how they're not very good defensively, because if he's on the ice that often, given the version of him that we saw last season, I don't see how that's a good thing.
At the very least, Dubas has to get rid of Girard. At the very least, you can't have, Letang and Letang Light out there.
Well, I wouldn't have them playing together anymore anyway. I don't know if it's as simple as getting rid of him. They do have more options on the left side, I guess, if you bring Ryan Shea back, which I suspect they probably will. I don't know that for a fact. I know they were happy with the season that he had and that Shea wants to come back. Yeah, another thing is Parker Wotherspoon, as great as he's been, he only has 1 year left on his deal too. Do you extend him this summer, perhaps? Is that something you would like to do? Would you like to lock him down for a few more years, given how well he played last season? That's certainly something I would consider. But I think the blue line in general, just in the entire organization, it's an issue. Yeah, they like Brunick, but other than that, I don't know that they have anyone who's a sure thing in the system who's going to help them in the next year or two. Whereas at forward, you have Horkoff and you have Bill Zonin and you have Kindle's a teenager. You have all these young guys that you really like at forward. Other than Brunick, they don't really have anybody coming on the blue line. And Carlson is 36 and entering the last year of his contract. So when we talk about the Penguins revamping and adding more talent and making a big splash, everyone always talks about, Austin Matthews or Jason Robertson, all these forwards. And I understand those are the big names, but is it not their blue line that really needs the most help moving forward? I think it is.
Well, that's what, I thought Cal said almost everything I wanted to hear, other than that we've thrown Letang out the window. Because he was very realistic, because I think it is going to be harder next year. And I don't think we're anywhere near where we need to be.
Yeah, you might be right. There was a tone from him today, I thought. It wasn't negativity, but it wasn't necessarily optimistic. It was almost one that came across as this might require a little bit more patience. And fans don't ever want to hear that, of course. But I did have that sense.
I loved hearing we're not even close, whenever and that's the thing. A lot of people look at our results, but like you watch, we've talked about it on here. You watch Colorado versus Minnesota. It's like, oh my God, we're so far away from being able to compete with that. So,
Corey, we lost to the worst team in the playoffs.
Yeah. By far, the worst
got
team.
Swept by them.
Yeah, like a really bad playoff team.
And Corey, I thought maybe the most interesting thing in his press conference, I don't know if he intended it to be. Like, I know people are going to focus on what he said on Malkin, and it sure doesn't sound like Anthony Matthews coming back. That wasn't very subtle. Like, there were a lot of things that he said, but I don't know. Sometimes just he'll make random comments that get my attention at these press conferences. And he said he made himself sound like a fan. And I mean this in a good way. When he said, I was watching TV the other night and I was watching Tampa and Montreal Game 7. And I just don't know defensively that we can play at that level. And then after that, the Colorado-Minnesota Game 1 came on. And I just don't know if we can play offensively at that level. That was like a very vulnerable, interesting, observation on his part. And it was basically his way of saying, yeah, we don't have enough good players yet. I'm trying to get more. That's how it came across.
What's funny, Josh, he could have watched any other game and said, I don't think we can goaltend at that level. He could take every facet of the game.
Yeah. And it makes it, when you look at it that way, it's like, Jesus, how did they put up 98 points and make the playoffs? Like they were doing some things very well, clearly. But I think that shed some light on the fact that Dubas looks at this big picture and it's like, man, we've made some progress, but we have a hell of a lot of work to do. And that's okay. He's right. He knew this was, a significant undertaking when he took this job. He admitted it. Like, they didn't have a system. They didn't have draft picks. Their best players were all getting old. So it's not an easy spot that he's in, and it still isn't. And I thought he was very open and honest about it, which is important.
I think the other thing he mentioned, which I think we've been talking about too, or I've certainly been talking about it, is that the Metro is just going to be better next year. Who thought that? He mentioned a couple, but Jersey stunk half the time. Rangers stunk most of the time. Capitals took half the year off. The Islanders folded. Who would it in Columbus? That's 5 teams I mentioned that are all on paper better than the Penguins.
No, he basically said that. He was funny. He said, I don't mean to sound paranoid, but I'm always judging us when I look at other teams in our division. And he said, the fact is the best team in our division won the division by 15 points and hasn't lost a playoff game yet. So we're not even close to them. I liked how honest he was. I do. And fans don't always want to hear that. I think sometimes fans almost want to be lied to just to feel better in the short term. And he said that about free agency too. He said, hey, I could go out and sign a bunch of guys. Everyone will feel good about it in July and August, but by November they might not feel good. And he's right. He's absolutely right. I thought, just looking at it from the fans' perspective, fans should be like, yeah, that was refreshingly honest, kind of a progress report about where we are. We've made some strides. We have some good young guys on the way. That's great. We had a good season. That's great. But he it wasn't grim the way he made it sound, but he basically said, yeah, we've got a lot of ways to go and it's on me and I've got a lot of work to do. And I think when you watch the playoffs, guys, when you watch Colorado play, when you watch the way Carolina looks, like they're not at that level, the Penguins, not even close. And it's good that their general manager sees that and is very honest about it.
Yeah, it's almost necessary. It was a good kind of like the wet blanket, that we kind of needed, like where everybody was getting a little too excited. I think it was a very honest press conference. It's just it didn't come out and blow a bunch of smoke up everybody's what. So and one thing I wanted to ask you guys about, which was interesting to me, was, did it seem like he was advertising to some mid to late 20-year-old hockey players that could come via trade? Because we've talked about it here that, hey, there's nobody in the free agent market that's really worth. He even said so much. He's like, yeah, cap space is great, but like, what are you gonna do? Blow it on a bunch of people that aren't worth it? And those are my words, not his. But but anyways, he started talking about finding some players that might not be happy in a situation and want to come here, and he spoke very, he kind of used Dan Muse as the, like, hey, look, you come here, you have a coach that puts you in the right situation, gets the best out of you. I don't know, what do you guys read into those comments?
He's advertising for his company. He's advertising for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Everything he said was true. We have old bananas, we have green bananas. We don't really have any yellow bananas. And that's Stanley Cups are usually won by yellow bananas, not black bananas and not green bananas. I think he thinks that Rust and Raquel are too old. It seemed to me like they're past their prime. I think we do need some of the players that are right in the middle, maybe a year older than Chinakhov. They're hard to get. I think he's doing a great job, and I think Muse being up for Coach of the Year and people liking Dubas and everyone liking Pittsburgh, and hey, you get to hang out with Gino for a year and maybe Sid for a couple. I think there's a lot of perks to playing for the Penguins.
No, I do too, and I thought it was very interesting that he did that. I think that got everyone's attention. It did sound like he was. Almost it was almost like a commercial, like, hey, come play for the Penguins. We have a great young coaching staff. Sidney Crosby's our captain, and this is a great hockey town, and it's a great place to raise a family. It's like, you couldn't help but kind of, I don't want to say laugh, but it was interesting. You don't hear general managers say that very often. Nothing he said was wrong. And I was fascinated hearing him talk about, and it used to be this way with Rutherford too. When the Penguins would go out early, Jim would always, pay very close attention to the playoffs, because he would always say that's where you learn where your shortcomings are. It shows up in the playoffs, and Kyle thinks the same way. I know he does. And hearing him talk about the playoffs, he even said, hey, our old guys can still play, and we really like Kendall, and we like some of our draft picks in the last couple of years. They're going to be good. But he said we really need impactful players in their mid to late 20s. That's when players are in their prime. And you're watching the playoffs right now, you're seeing guys between 24 and 30 years old. Those are the best players on most of the teams that we are watching right now, and he knows that. And like you said, Joe, they're not easy to get. If they were easy to find, he'd be all over it. Like, that's why getting Chinakhov was such a big deal. And even Soderblom, if he can be a legitimate bottom six guy, that's a big deal. Those are two guys like 24 and 25 years old. You need people in that age range. Everybody knows that. And I'm sure he will be focusing on that as we move forward here. And everyone's, hearing him make those comments. I've talked about Jason Robertson before. I don't know what's going to happen in Dallas. If he's available in a trade at some point or free agency at some point in the next year, I know that's a guy Kyle really is impressed with and covets, but you got to give up a lot to get those guys too. That's on the flip side.
Well, Jim Neal said that was his number one issue this summer. So
Right.
that's not a good sign.
Hey, no, it's not. It's not. No.
He's zeroed in on him. What I've noticed the Penguins, and they had much more sandpaper this year than they have in many, many years. But I think they need more sandpaper. I know I'm an old man, I'm from the 70s, but I think that's the biggest takeaway that I see is if you're not going to be Crosby, if you're not going to be Malkin, put some sandpaper in your game because that's where the league is trending. It's trending away from finesse, and even the finesse guys now have sandpaper.
Well, and I think I agree with that. You have to have both. Yeah, I'm a big believer you can win a cup in a lot of different ways. You can win it as a big, nasty team. You can win as a fast, speedy team. You can win it as a defensive-minded team. Like there's all kinds of ways to do it, but you have to have all those elements. And how many times did we hear, Joe, during the first round? Well, the Penguins got to get to the net. The Flyers are keeping them to the outside. You got to get some bodies in front of Vladar. You can see the puck. Well, they didn't do it because they didn't have enough people capable of doing it. It's not that they weren't willing. It's that in some cases they were too small and they just lacked that physical presence to actually get in front of the net and do damage. It's not a matter of wanting to do it or not. Sometimes it's not having the right personnel. And I keep going back to last summer when the Penguins had I forget how many draft picks they had, 12 or 13 guys. I think 5 or 6 of them were 6'5". Like that wasn't coincidental. He knows this team needs to get tougher and bigger.
No, but you can. I mean, you can look at Momantha. You can put sandpaper on his elbow pads. And I'm not sure Will Horkoff is Mr. Sandpaper himself. I watched some Michigan games, but I mean, you want skill, and you don't have to be Bob Probert, but Hornquist, Kunitz, Bonino. Those guys play. Those guys play like a mad dog. And look at
Matt
Florida.
Cullen, even.
Look at Florida. Look at Tampa Bay. Look at Washington. You can't name a Stanley Cup team that doesn't have a bunch of guys that rip the meat off the bone.
I agree with you, Joe. And listen, Colorado's probably going to win the Cup the way things look right now. And I know we think of McKinnon and Makar when we think of them, and those are their two best players. Watch the rest of that team. That's a nasty hockey team. It really is. I love how they play. Like they've got it all. They remind me a lot of the Tampa teams that won the Cups too. Like, they've got all that top end Hall of Fame talent, but underneath that, they've just got a bunch of 6'4", 230-pound guys who barge their way to the net and who play a tough brand of hockey. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I feel like speed, people kind of throw it out the window. Like, I don't think this is like, you can't be big like the LA Kings, like plotting, a little bit of slower game. You got to, the game is not just going one way, but you got to be big and you got to be fast because, there's a lot of fast. I mean, you watch the Ducks, good Lord, like that team can skate.
They can for sure. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways you can win, but that was, to me, that was just a deficiency I saw. I honestly thought, Joe, listen, on paper, the Flyers were probably the worst team in the playoffs. I thought they were faster than the Penguins. I thought they were better in front of the net and tougher in front of the net than the Penguins. And that's just the Flyers, who aren't even that good. So it's I think when you look at
that's what I mean. That's what I mean, Josh. You look at just look at the Sabres, like Doan's kid and Benson. Those guys they're just nasty.
Oh yeah. No, I completely agree.
They're the third and fourth, and they're not big goons. They just play with it. They play like a young rusty razor.
Yeah. Right. And Brian Russ is a guy who doesn't drop the gloves and is not that big, but he's just a tough hockey player.
Yeah.
That Chris Kunitz is a perfect example of that, right? No, and you need that. A lot of it's just a mindset, and some players are born with it, and some players aren't. That was one thing, by the way. Speaking of players who are, and you're right, Horkoff might not be that guy, even though he's big. I know a lot of people are watching the Wilkes-Barre games right now because they're Penguins fans and they want to watch how the young guys look. And their second, or I guess it's their third round series, starts tonight. Bill Zonin, the other first round pick from last year, is making his Wilkes-Barre debut. That's a tough, abrasive hockey player. He's like 6'2", almost 200. And it was one of my favorite things from the press conference that I thought was interesting. Dubas said, we were going to sit him down and teach him the system now that he's coming to Wilkes-Barre. And he told Amanda Kessel and all the other coaches, like, I've been watching every game. I already know your system. And apparently he does. It's like, I like hearing that from a teenager. Like that, and the word on him is that he's like really committed, really professional. He's that kind of guy. I think everybody's really going to like Bill Zonin in the next couple of years.
If Kyle Dubas had this press conference Monday or Wednesday, I would have been at this game. I was already planning. I was, because I got a bit driving through. I'm thinking, I'm going to go see game one. But Mr. Dubas had to foil my plan.
Yeah,
I wanted to go. I want to see McGroarty. Hey.
Brunick's there. There's, just to see Miroshov. I know everybody is legitimately excited about him, and he was unbelievable apparently in their first playoff series this spring. So yes, there is real talent there, which is something to be excited about, no question.
Yeah, the thing I like about Zonin is when you hear about the IQ is that there's just a high floor with a player like that,
Yes.
And what's good for him career-wise is that gives you longevity. Like if you've got it between the ears, then he's be an asset for years to come. I'm curious to see when he gets here.
As much as I love the rusty nail, and I think he had a great year. Yeah. I just kind of I was upset they even got Lizotte too, and he played great. I just want to see those guys. I want it to be Bros, McGroarty, and Zonin next year on the fourth line.
No, I know what you mean. I do.
It's time. It's how much worse can they? I mean, the fourth line played great, but I mean, that's the fourth line.
And you're going to see that. And Kyle was interesting. He said, a lot of people were making a big deal out of the fact that we have cap room, but he very correctly said everybody has a lot of cap room right now because the cap just went way up. I would not expect the Penguins to come close to the salary cap, not to the ceiling anyway. And he said, yes, I am going to try to make trades and bring in guys, and I don't doubt that he is. I believe that. But he also said we do need some of these young guys to play next year. So he's aware of that. I think I look at McGroarty and Avery Hayes. Those are two guys that absolutely better make this team out of training camp, along with Miroshov. And Brunick better be up at some point next season. And maybe you throw another guy in there too, whether it's Zonin or Horkoff or whoever else. That's what you need. We've been talking about this, needing this wave of young players to come, and they're starting to mature. They're starting to marinate. And I think the talent is real. It's a matter of time, but I think next season we really see that infusion. And it absolutely is time, Joe. You are correct.
You know what I thought? I just thought this right now. One thing maybe making the playoffs did, maybe it would fool maybe someone who doesn't watch every second like us that, hey, they're a playoff team. Maybe you do get a free agent that thinks we're closer than maybe everyone else thinks we are. Maybe so. I mean, even just like a McCarron. I'd love to have him on my team.
That's your kind of guy for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of what I think with Lizotte. I like Blake. He hustles, but it's kind of nice to have a guy that's 6'5" doing that.
No, for sure. The interesting thing about the Penguins, we talk a lot about how close they are, how close they aren't. And Dubas certainly came across as a guy who doesn't think they were all that close. But the interesting thing, I think their forwards were just about as good as anyone's this season, honestly. I really think their problems are on the blue line and in net. How far away are the Penguins? I don't know. But if they had a really good goaltender and maybe, a couple of really good, solid defensive defensemen on this team, how far away would they be? I don't know. I'd like their chances a lot more. I just think that's the area where they need to focus. And clearly with Miroshov and Blomqvist, they have the goaltending talent on the way. The more I think about the Penguins and how far away they are or aren't, I just keep going back to that blue line, and I see a lot of problems there.
I think that's a great point because at the beginning of the year we said they have playoff caliber forwards, they just don't have playoff caliber defensemen or goalies. And if you just put two of Anaheim Ducks defensemen, or you put Slavin and Keandre Miller on the Penguins, I mean it's just two playoff defensemen. Hey, Slavin might be asking too much, but I'm just thinking just middle of the road guys.
Right. No.
Shore up the defense.
Yeah. And look back at the 27-7. You look back to 2017. Now, listen, 2017, you had Matt Murray, who was unbelievable those two springs, and a Hall of Fame goaltender. different story. You had Crosby and Malkin in their primes, and Phil Kessel. I understand all that, but when you look at that blue line, Letang was hurt. It wasn't blowing people away with analytics or talent on the blue line. It was just 6 good, solid defensemen. Guys like Brian Dumoulin and Ian Cole and Trevor Daley. They weren't going to wow you. They were on Hainsey. They weren't going to wow you, but they were just sturdy, solid defensemen. That's really what they miss, in my opinion.
Which has been my point since 2018. We don't need Letang. We just need 6 number 3s.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and listen, if you could find a number 1, that's a real thing. That there's nothing wrong, especially the way the league is going. There's so many great defensemen. Every time I watch, from Makar to Quinn Hughes or Lane Hudson, I'd like to have one of those guys. Who wouldn't? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lack of dependability on that blue line, and I don't want to put all of it on Letang. It's not all him.
No, Clifton stunk too.
He did.
No, it's literally we had 2.5. We had 2 3/4. We had Waterspoon, we had Carlson, and we had 3/4 of the time. Mr. Shea was excellent. Sometimes he was brought down by his partner. He had some tough moments, but other than that, we had 3. And I like Slovanov, to be honest with you. I think as a number 6, I don't see a problem with him. But 4 and 5 need to be upgraded immensely.
No, I agree.
That's my big fear. He's not going to get upgraded with Letang.
Well, I mean, Letang's contract is an enormous problem. It just is. But also, it's not just that. I really think Dubas is serious when he says, when he took this job, he knew he was going to have to disappoint fans at some point. But he also said he respects the nostalgia of it all. I'll tell you right now, if Chris Letang's contract was up, he wouldn't be bringing it back. I promise you. He absolutely wouldn't. I'm just fascinated to see how it unfolds. If at some point they tell Chris, hey, sorry, it's time. We've decided to move on. If they give him a lesser role, because I know they weren't happy with how he played this season. But when you hear Dubas talk about him today briefly, boy, he spoke so glowingly. It was kind of interesting. Granted, he wasn't asked directly about Chris or the season that he had. But I don't know. I always say about Chris, the way he plays, you can't ignore him on the ice, for better or worse. And it was a lot more worse the last couple of years. You always hear the expression high event games or low event games. He's always high event every time he's on the ice. And the way he's played the last couple of years, that's not a good thing. And I don't know that he's capable of changing that.
Well, I heard is this true that his no trade turns to 10 teams the next 2 years?
I think so. I think I did. Yeah, I think that does sound right with his contract. The bigger thing is I don't know that anybody wants him, and I don't think they do. That's the impression I'm under. I just think people, not just because he's declining in play, even though he is, but he's 39. He's got a terrible health history, and he's still making more than $6 million a year. I don't think there's a team in the league saying, yeah, let's bring that guy in.
I don't know. Stan Bowman might. Maybe give Stan a call real quick.
Get some of that Stanley Cup experience to Edmonton. Maybe you're onto something, Corey. I don't know, but I still doubt it.
A year ago, we were having this conversation about Tristan Jarry. We were like, no, who would take his contract? And Stan came in and saved the day.
But remember, Jarry played great the first 2 months, and that's how they were able to pull that off.
Yeah.
And remember, they already have Letang. His name's Bouchard. They have a guy that doesn't play defense. That's true. But Bouchard actually scores and hits the net when he shoots the puck. So
he puts up numbers at least.
Yeah, he's one up on Letang.
So would this be a goodbye to Stu Skinner, do you think?
Yes.
I didn't hear his name once in the press conference, and she loves. I guess it's Sea Loves because he said Sea Loves. Have I been wrong this whole time?
I thought it was She Loves myself, but I've been wrong before with names. But yes, I can answer that quickly. They liked Skinner as a human being, wonderful guy. He didn't play terribly at all. But given their goaltending situation, you got these guys who are going to be ready to play. And Miroshov and Blomqvist. Shelovs is only a restricted free agent. You can probably still get him pretty cheap for the next couple of years. Somebody's going to pay Skinner. I'm telling you, somebody's going to give him a 3-year contract worth a nice chunk of change because there's such of a goaltending shortage around the league. Just wouldn't make sense for the Penguins to do that with all the guys they have on the way.
Yeah,
I don't have a bad thing to say about Skinner.
No,
I wish him well. I think he played pretty
Yeah.
good for the Penguins.
he was fine. Really, really. I mean, I talk all the time about so many people in hockey that are nice people. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in hockey. He was a hit in that locker room from day one. He's a real gentleman. I have nothing but respect for him.
He certainly earned himself a contract with somebody. So
Yeah, he's fine.
Good for
He
him.
hasn't exactly played behind good defensive teams in his NHL career. Let's not forget that.
No,
I'd like to see what he could do on a team that actually plays defense. I don't think he's a star, but I think he'd be fine.
Yeah, good, a solid starter.
Yep.
We're going to come back and talk a little bit about the rest of the NHL playoffs and some other stuff. But Mr. Neofis, I'm curious. I'm sure you haven't heard from him yet because the press conference just happened. But he's a big Geno guy, is he not? So Bill, I think, has to be happy with what he heard.
I actually have heard from him. He's pissed off that Kyle wasn't one of the 3 nominees for GM of the year. So I did just hear from our original advertiser himself, Mr. Neofis. Other than that, we've not discussed much, but we will. And yeah, he is a big Geno guy. Certainly loyal to the big guys for sure, as most Penguins fans are. And that's the great thing about Bill Neofis. He's not only the best insurance man in town, but he's a big Penguins fan. He's just like the rest of you. This guy bleeds black and gold. He always has. He loves the Steelers and Pirates too, but he's a Penguins fan first. And I know Joe respects that. I know there's just some people, they're just hockey people, right? We're all hockey people on this show. And that certainly is Bill. And he's also an insurance person. He's the best of the best. Whatever your insurance needs are, you name it, home insurance, life insurance, car insurance, renter's insurance, pet insurance. The list goes on and on and on. Our man Bill will take care of you, and his whole staff is incredible. The nicest people. They will get you the best rates. They don't mess around. They will be honest with you more than anything else. We talked earlier about Kyle Dubas being honest with you. You like when your hockey team's general manager's honest. You like when your insurance man is too. That's a real thing. So give our man Bill a call. He'll talk hockey with you. Then he'll eventually get to insurance, I'm sure. It's 412-364-3388. I'll give it to you one more time. 412-364-3388. His name is Bill Neofis. He's the best insurance man in town. Unbelievable staff. Give him a call.
Yeah, I think Bill should hire Kyle Dubas as an insurance agent, because the way that Kyle handled that press conference today, he could walk in and say, look, your insurance premiums are going up. I mean, I get it. Like, it sucks, but, trust me, it's going to work. And I would have been thrilled to hear it because I love the demeanor. So, yeah, thank you, Bill. And, yeah, I agree with you. Kyle Dubas not being we talked about it a little bit before the show, but Colorado, I mean, like, what? Come on, like they're just a good team, Like, do you automatically get a nominee for that?
I guess.
Yeah. What could he have done? I mean, what else could Kyle Dubas have done? Like, nobody saw this coming. So, maybe Stan Bowman should have been on that list too. But yeah. So let's get to the NHL playoffs, and we'll start out east with the Philadelphia Flyers and the Carolina Hurricanes. My God. I mean, I know 2 games went to overtime, but it was a sweep and it didn't even feel that close. I don't think the Flyers ever were really a threat in that series. What did you guys think?
I know Rob Bridgemore.
Lead off, Joe. I want you to have your moment here.
No, I know Rob never really understands what a sweep is. When he wins one or when he loses one. A sweep is when you win 4 in a row. In regular season, Rod won 4 in a row. So congratulations, the sweep. Hopefully he doesn't take a cue from Muse and give his team 10 days off before they have to play another game. I've never been the biggest fan of Carolina for many things, but I will say this. This is the best team of a generation of Carolina Hurricanes. And they should make it to the finals. Their third line of Blake, Stankoven, and Taylor Hall is on fire. It's the best third line they've had in forever. Because I mean, I'll take Jordan Martin any day on my team, but he's a 4th liner. He used to be on their 3rd line. And Freddie Anderson, he's 8-0. He hasn't choked yet.
No.
Which I thought they were going to go with Busey game 1. What do I know? And I'm sorry, just one more thing. And Keandre Miller, and I said for 3 years, Rangers were stupid for worrying about Adam Fox. They should have kept Keandre Miller. And look how good Keandre Miller's played.
I love him. He always played well against the Penguins when he was in New York, so we always noticed him. Guy's a good player. I give Brendan more credit. Listen. We all call him regular season Rod for a reason. His team isn't always fun to watch. You cannot deny how impressive they have been. I agree with you, Joe. This is the best Carolina team we've seen in ages. No doubt about that. They've got real talent. Maybe they don't have a superstar, but they're incredibly deep. I'll tell you another. Jordan Stahl looks better than he's looked in years to me. I love how he's playing. Man, has he been good. They haven't really been tested. Like I thought Ottawa would put up a fight, and they didn't. And we knew they were going to steamroll Philly. So obviously they will play a much better team, whether they get Buffalo or Montreal in the next round. Boy, they're going to be rested. They're healthy. And Anderson's been good. That was my real concern with them. I have never been a huge fan of his. He has been solid. I will say this: if they don't make it this year to the final, I don't think they're ever going to. This is their opportunity. And as good as Buffalo and Montreal are, I don't think those teams are overwhelmingly better than Carolina, and they might very well beat the hell out of each other in the next few years or next few games. So it's a good spot for Carolina.
Yeah, I had some Carolina fans jumping all over me like, 10 days is the best day. I was like, yeah, no, it's not. 10 days is not a great thing. Not that you want to avoid a sweep, but I don't know, maybe you want it to go a little bit better. Or the fact that the NHL schedule is such a mess, because we can talk about that for a second, but game one, or they played game one. We didn't even know when game two was going to be until the day before. It was just such a mess. This is really
highly
bad
unusual
on the NHL's part.
No, it is. That's the way they roll. I mean, that's just how it is. But for Carolina, I don't recall a team. And listen, nobody ever goes 8-0 to start the playoffs, so it makes sense they're going to have more rest. But I don't recall a team getting 2 consecutive 8 to 10 day rests. If Buffalo and Montreal go 11 or go 7, they're going to have 11 days off, Joe. 11. That actually might not be a good thing.
No, I don't think 11. I always think winning is 6. Get an extra couple days off is what works. But You're right, though. Stahl looks 10 years younger.
Oh yeah, no, he's been really good. He has. I am happy for him to see him maybe get one last shot here. So we will see. But they sure haven't been tested yet, have they?
No, the big test is going to be Colorado. Can they have the firepower to go with them? Because that's something else. So we'll get to that series in a minute. Next up, we got Buffalo and Montreal, and Buffalo wins game 1, and then Montreal all of a sudden sneaks one away, and then takes the series lead up in Montreal, which the atmosphere up there is just fantastic. And I said I think this is I could stomach a Montreal Stanley Cup because the rest of the country won't acknowledge it as a Canadian won Stanley Cup. But I tell you what, they've got some pretty good hockey players on that Montreal Canadiens team, and I think I overlooked them all year based on how they've been performing.
Yeah, you may have. They're another team. I don't know that I'd say they have a superstar. I guess Caulfield and Suzuki have played close to that level this season. They're just deep. They're impressive. Lane Hudson, man, every time I watch them play, I know he's a little guy. God, is he a good player? I mean, he is so important to everything they do. They're a pest to play against. They're fast. I'm really impressed. They obviously have the advantage right now, being up 2-1. I would not count out Buffalo. They've been great all season, but I do wonder if they're maybe not quite ready for the playoffs. Montreal was there last season, got a little taste of it. Maybe that is helping them now, Joe. I like this Montreal team. My preseason pick was Colorado over Montreal, which I had forgotten about in the final. God, I feel really smart right now because I think Montreal has a real chance. You don't want to play them. I know they haven't won a cup since '93, but you never want to play them in the playoffs. It always just feels a little daunting.
Yeah, when they wake up the ghosts, when the ghosts get the alarm clock set, it's tough to beat Montreal. Dobish too. Dobish's numbers, he's up there with Dryden and Waugh. And
I know.
He's got some crazy legendary numbers. My heart wants Buffalo. Not from any anything. I just have so many long-suffering Buffalo fans. But I just think it's going to be Montreal. And I'll tell you what, They woke Sikorsky up. He scored, and Cole Caulfield's not snake bitten anymore, and that's not good news for Buffalo. Getting those guys fired up.
It's not. Suzuki's such a good player. He's a tough guy to match up with in the playoffs because he's so good defensively too. He's born to thrive in the postseason. No, how could you not like what they're doing? I saw all I needed to see with Montreal when they went down to Tampa and won Game 7. I mean, seriously, that's you go down there, you beat Vasilevsky in a Game 7. It's not like Tampa was playing poorly. It's not like they played poorly in that series. For Montreal to pull that off, and now what they're doing against Buffalo, I wouldn't be shocked if they came out of the East. I really wouldn't.
And Newhook scoring huge goals, and I'll tell you, Kirby Dach. Yeah. I've been waiting. I think Coach Q was in Chicago when Kirby Dach was floating around. I've been waiting for Kirby Dach to be playing like this for a decade.
I know. Wasn't he like the third pick in the draft or something? Yeah, he was a high pick, and he never really panned out. He's been good. You mentioned Newhook. Man, has he been good for Montreal too? Yeah, they're just deep. I don't see any real flaw on that Canadiens roster, and I don't really when I see Buffalo play either. I'm interested to see how that series unfolds. I wouldn't count Buffalo out just yet by any stretch. That's got 6 or 7 games written all over it, but I don't know. Montreal's just got that little feel about them right now. They are really rolling, and I'll give Marty St. Louis credit. I didn't know if he'd be a good coach there or not, but you watch them play, they look like a pretty well-coached team. They're good defensively. I like how they play.
Yeah, another GM of the year snub.
You got to be. That's right. You must be a big Josh Anderson fan too. He strikes me as your kind of guy, Joe.
Oh yeah, I always To me, he's Tommy Wilson light. But he only plays like Tommy like 70% of the games. That's been the knock on Anderson. But I've coveted thy neighbor's power forward for a long time. When he was in Columbus, though.
Oh, I loved him in Columbus. Oh my God, yeah. You can see he can really impact games in a lot of different ways.
Oh yeah, I mean I've been the big, especially on Puckoff for years. I was a big Josh Anderson guy. But I think Dubas being hot and it hurts. Or we talk about it, but I also think that Buffalo's hurting themselves. They're just taking bad penalties.
Yeah, they are.
Yep. Yeah. I feel for the Buffalo people. I mean, God, how many times can they have a team where you feel like, to me, after the first round, I'm thinking, like maybe this is Buffalo's year. Kind of similar to football, where it always like, oh, is this Buffalo's year? And then all of a sudden they just they hit a grinding halt. So I hope this series goes long, just for the sake of hockey, because I think it's fun. But yeah, Buffalo's got to clean some stuff up. Did you see that picture of Lane Hudson standing next to the Florida basketball player?
I did. Yes.
Lane Hudson looked like a kid who was meeting his favorite Montreal Canadiens player. Like it was
Andre the Giant. Yeah.
Some 7'9" guy with Lane Hudson was hilarious. So let's go out west. Anaheim, every time they lose to the Kings, or to the Knights, I think to myself, here we go. It's coming to an end, and then they pull another one out. So it's 2-2 in that series with Anaheim and Vegas. Who do you guys like going forward in the final 4 games here? Because it's been pretty tightly contested, and man, do the Ducks look good. I just like that team.
You feeling good about your Duckies, Joe?
I picked the Ducks. I've liked them all year. I love Coach Q. They were doing this without Gudis. Stone being hurt really helps out because Detective Mark Stone always finds a way to score a big goal. I just think Anaheim has more firepower up front, and it's showing. And I hope Lacombe gets to win this series, because if not, he'll be having nightmares about that empty net he didn't shoot it. I thought that pass from Uncle Leo was so good. He wasn't expecting it. He's like, I got to pass it. I just think it's just these wily veterans that are possibly can stop the Duckies, but the Duckies are just they're playing hard. Coach Q put a masterclass after they got their doors blown off in game 3. His press conference was a masterclass in, telling, hey, we got our asses kicked, but he wasn't down. He just said really. Did you catch that, Josh?
Yeah. No, I did. It was great. I mean, he's done a great job. That guy can coach. That guy can have. It's not like they didn't have any talent last year either. You put him in there, it's made a difference. I picked Vegas to win the series. I just didn't know if Anaheim was ready to beat them yet, and I've liked how they've played under Torts. I think Anaheim's been the better team though through 4 games. It's 2-2, but Anaheim's carried the play. Anaheim is so much faster than Vegas. That's what I see. Their team speed top to bottom. Vegas is having a really hard time keeping up. Mitch Marner's been great. I'll tell you, this is the best we've seen him play in the playoffs.
Yep.
I will give him credit for a guy who's got the reputation for being a big game choke artist. He's been anything but. Even though Vegas has the home ice, if I'm not mistaken, I kind of feel like Anaheim has a slight edge right now. I think they're a little bit better. And I hope they win. They're fun. They are an Anaheim-Colorado series. I don't know if it would go more than 5 games, but damn it, those would be fun, 5 really fun games, would they not?
Well, that to me, I mean, not saying that Anaheim would do it, but if I'm Colorado, I'm thinking like, man, if there's somebody that can break through our defense, it's that team. You know, I'd kind of take Vegas over them. And just throwing this out there, but I think Leo Carlsson's kind of like all of a sudden looking like maybe he was the number 1 pick in the 2023 draft. Like, would you take him or Bedard right now if you were start? You know, if the Penguins could take either one, which one would you take?
Carlsson, probably.
Oh,
That's not a knock. I mean, Bedard's really good, but I think Carlsson in a year or two might be one of the 5 best players in the league. Like, he's a great player. He is really impressive.
He might be right now.
He's not far off. I mean, he's really. He is. Wow. No, he's
and they did. You know, Paul Skeens his first year, or he might have even won like Rookie of the Year. Like, you know, he played like every other game and some BS where don't wear him out. And every time he played, it was like a comet coming on the ice, just like making marvelous plays.
Right.
And that's a team of the future because Beckett Seneca, that guy is great too. And Cutter Gauthier, thank God he hates the Flyers.
Yeah,
he has a lot of talent.
Yeah, what a stud he is. I've always liked Troy Terry too. He's a really good hockey player. Like
Troy Terry, Josh, is the ultimate. He's not a black banana. He's not a green. He's a yellow banana. He's in the perfect spot to win.
Yep.
It seems like he's been there forever too.
I know, and he's not that old. No, he always scores against the Penguins. He's one of those guys we've known about him for years. He loves playing against the Penguins, but I love that forward group so much. I really, they're just a nice. They got the older guys. They got a couple of the black bananas with Kreider and Trouba and Carlsson there. It's an interesting mix of players.
Oh, that was such a key move getting John Carlsson. I mean,
he's been great.
He has. Listen, do I think they can beat Colorado? No, I don't. But I'd like to see them try. It would be fun, and if they can get past the Ducks, man, what a story. But they already are a great story. They're going to be good for a really long time.
I'll tell you one thing. They can go up there and they can win a 7-4 game. And it'll be mighty interesting. I mean, they'll lose in 6, but we'll have a fun game 3 and game 4.
Yeah. Oh, no. No, I know exactly what you mean. They're a scary team. And Carlsson, he's as great as everyone else is on all the forwards we've mentioned. He's different. He's on the verge of becoming a real superstar. I don't think there's any doubt.
He's silky smooth, and man, is that West, like, think about the next 10 years, the Ducks and the Sharks. Now with the Sharks getting the number 2 pick this year, I mean, it's going to be fun to watch. So that's good for us, those of us night owls who end up watching some late night hockey.
You know what I think, Corey, too? I think the Sharks you got to put together a package and get Austin Matthews. I think Mike Greer, you got to go all in, and I think whoever Chayka has to take it.
I think that if they put together a package, I mean, what would they? Here, the thing is, the power rests with Austin Matthews. Like we talk about with the Penguins too. Because you could look at the Sharks and go, "Oh, the Sharks are going to give the number 2 pick for him." Well, what if Austin Matthews just wants out? Like, what if he does? What if he just wants out? Like, that gives you no leverage as a GM, and you can give up minimal assets. And I think the Sharks will be a great. If I'm Austin Matthews, that's probably top 3 places I'd want to go. You kidding me? Play with Celebrini?
Because right, Josh. Because like the Sharks, if they can give up 4 number 1 picks because they don't need picks anymore. They have all the young talent they need.
They have all the leverage. They have so much young talent. And they
Yeah.
had Michael Misa last year, the second overall pick, I believe. They have a lot of leverage right now.
Yeah.
And if I were them, I would consider doing something like that. I absolutely would. Now, I'm assuming Toronto's going to take McKenna with the first pick. We'll worry about that next month. Now, if something would go crazy and they don't take McKenna, now that changes things. Maybe San Jose would rather just have him. But man, they've got a ton of talent all of a sudden. And it's a nice place to live. It's there's a lot of reasons you'd want to go play with Mr. Celebrini, who I've dealt with Macklin a little bit. I'm actually going to deal with him at the World Championships in a few days. What a nice kid. He's like little Sid Jr. Like he's honestly, he emulates his life after Sid in a lot of ways. They really became close at the World Championships and at the Olympics in the last year. He's a special young guy. You'd want to play with him.
Well, you don't have to worry about dealing with Connor Bedard. He didn't show up once again.
No, he didn't. That's 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and you know what's super classy too? They asked him because I think it's really not who you take off, but either how Celebrini isn't up for the heart. And his answer was, he goes, "Well, I'm not as good as those guys. I'm not one of the top 3 players in the league." And it's like, wow, you are.
Yeah.
I know you take off. I'm not putting
those guys are great too,
but
I'm not saying any of those guys are better than him or not better than him. But he's of their class at this point. He's only 19. That's all you need to know about him.
And I'll tell you this: on the Sharks side, there's a lot of noise of Stenberg. I've heard it on a couple different places. I think Elliot Friedman actually said on his podcast that he's had GM say there's a number of them that if they had the first pick, they would take Stenberg instead of McKenna.
It's not a slam dunk that McKenna's number one. I don't think he's the big name, but Corey, I've talked with scouts and some people who aren't enamored with him the way you might think.
So, I'm not like some expert or anything like that, but I'll tell you, you guys know me. I was on the McKenna train and I went up and watched them twice in Penn State in the fall, and I was like, yeah, never mind. Like, let's try to make the playoffs this year.
I think if you have Celebrini and Misa and the Fresh Prince, you're looking for your number one stud defenseman.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They're in good shape. I
think the Sharks could use Erik Karlsson right now if they want to make a championship run.
I know, right? What are the odds? Give us some of those picks back. The other series out west is Minnesota and Colorado, and I feel bad for Minnesota because they one of the best teams in the league all year long. They absolutely take it to the Stars in an impressive fashion, and then here we are in the second round, and it looks like they're gonna get swept under the rug quietly, and it's I mean, last night, whether they have 4 shots through half the game, like it's not so much a knock on Minnesota, it's just Colorado's that good. I think
Colorado's just a different breed, and when they're at their best, they're the best team. We all know it. And the thing about them, like you think about their roster, you think McKinnon, Natchez, Makar, all these great offensive players. And that's right, they can light it up. But Colorado, Joe, they are so comfortable winning 2-1 games if you want to play it that way because they always have the puck. And they're just a smart hockey team. And they do everything well. They can beat you you want to play a physical game, get the big guys involved, they've got those horses. They can do that. You want to try to outskate them, good luck. Their goaltending has really held up better than I thought. I mean, it's been a strength, in fact. I feel bad for Minnesota too, Corey, because that's a hell of a team and they've had a wonderful season. Colorado, I don't want to say they're making them look second rate, but they're clearly the better team, and I would be surprised if this series goes past 5.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I think I think the best player in the series, and Cal Makar took over game 1.
Yeah.
And Big Mac took over some moments, but I can't be any more impressed with Quinn Hughes. Hughes has just done absolutely incredible things. And I'm sorry, Billy G, but I think Quinn Hughes is like, not only am I never going to win a Norris because of Cal Makar, I'm never going to win a conference. I'm coming east. It's really, that series has really turned into Oh, I'm going to give Mandy Picard credit for this. He said it's like watching Sid versus Ovi. It's almost like Makar and Quinn are battling each other.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I was just impressed last night. Colorado, they were playing without Lekanen, without Malinsky. It didn't matter. And then their bottom six is so good too. That's the thing. Even on the rare night when McKinnon and Natchez are kind of quiet, they've got other guys who can score, and more times than not they do. I just, to beat them 4 out of 7, that's going to be quite a task for somebody. Yeah. I just think they have a level that other teams don't have when they're at their best.
Yeah, and it felt like every time Minnesota, when they came back and tied it last night, it's like, oh, they punched back, and then Colorado just basically flexes their muscle and ends the game. This will be interesting. I don't know if anybody can get in their way. I know your stepson's a big fan, so that's good news for him. And for anyone that put money on Colorado to win the Stanley Cup, because you'd have to bet a lot to win very little right now.
By the way, Corey, real quick breaking news. I know most people won't care about this, but I really do, because I'm going to Switzerland next week. The Penguins just announced that Sidney Crosby is going to play for Team Canada at the World Championships.
Whoa!
I was not expecting at all. I just got a text a minute ago, and then Penguins just tweeted it out a second ago. So Sid, what's most important about that? That means his knee's fine, and he's feeling good about him. He wouldn't be going over to Switzerland to play if he wasn't feeling right. He's going to go play with Macklin Celebrini again, and those two have really hit it off. They've become pals. Connor Bedard could be going and taking some tips from the master. I'm not sure what he's going to be doing this summer, 2 years in a row. Just throwing it out there.
Well, that's going to be the new rumor. They can go play with his buddy Macklin Celebrini.
That's going to be it now. Send to San Jose, yeah.
Yep. I love that. The thing I love about that Sid's just a hockey junkie. He just can't help himself. And I also think that probably signals a little bit of where he sees the future of Team Canada going. He's got maybe one Olympics left in him, so he's probably kind of anointing the next person.
And we talk about this too. Sid really, at this age especially, he hates huge breaks. He doesn't like going 4 and 5 months without playing. He thinks it hurts his game a little bit. So going over there just reduces his summer a little bit too, which I actually think he wants at this stage. So
yeah,
I'm happy. I can go see the captain play in Switzerland now. It'll be fun.
He certainly didn't like taking 10 days off. I realized that.
That's true. I'll tell you someone that never takes 10 days off. We'll come back here in a minute, and we got to talk a little bit of Steelers, but Danny's Pizza and Hoagies. They never take 10 days off. They never take a day off whenever they make a hoagie. And I myself went out last week, happened to be in the South Hills, stopped in and got the Joe Bartnick special. And Joe, I love Italian hoagies. I mean, to the point everywhere we go to eat, my wife just sees an Italian hoagie on the menu and folds it up and knows what I'm getting. That was the best Italian hoagie I've ever had. And I got the Joe Bartnick special. He gave me a square cut. And I actually took pizza home for my kids, and they wolfed it down. It was unbelievable. So yeah, Alex, thank you very much. We appreciate you. And I know, Joe, you've probably been talking to him about watching the Flyers lose. I'm sure he hated that.
Oh, he's been Mr. Flyer meme king for a few days here. And I know Bill was in conversation about, the GM snub, and Alex texted me. He goes, "They haven't asked about Letang." That was his takeaway. No, but I told everyone I'm not a liar, and right, Corey, it's the best.
No,
it's the best. And I'm gonna throw a little love to the meatball sandwich. My great friend Andy Michelli, who I've turned on, he's North Hills guy when he's been working in South Hills a little bit. He had the meatball sub, and Andy Michelli, a nice paisan. His mother also makes incredible meatballs. He loved the meatball sub. So also, if you're in the mood for a meatball sub, Danny's 5 stars on that too. Andy knows his stuff. You can go get the Italian, incredible. And, Rachel, she loves the Cooper cheddar cheesesteak, and now I get that every time. Now we got that in half. That's delicious. The square cuts are amazing, and I'll tell you, a little hot honey on one of the fresh roundies too. And a nice big round pizza is real nice too. Everything's delicious at Danny's. You go in there and talk hockey. The whole staff is great. The older guys in the day, the young kids at night, they're all great people. Danny's Pizza and Hoagies, 5159 Library Road, right before you get to South Park on Route 88. Call ahead if you want. The number 412-833-7788. And yeah, it's getting nice outside, and bring your pizza and sandwiches and sit in the park.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best. Thank you, Alex, and everyone at Danny's. We'll wrap up here with a little bit of Steelers. I don't want to get into like is Aaron Rodgers coming back or not? Where is he? Was he in town? I don't care about that. The thing that is weird to me, like you guys, I'll throw this out there. Maybe you guys don't want him as our quarterback next year. I don't understand a better scenario. Like people don't want him to come back, and I'm like, don't we always hear that rookie quarterbacks shouldn't get thrown right into the fire, and it's better for them to learn under somebody? But all of a sudden now it's like, just throw Drew Aller out there or Will Howard. Like I don't get it. Like people might not like Aaron Rodgers, whatever. I don't care. I think he's the best option, not just for next year, but for the future. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, sure he is. I mean, in terms of the 2026 season, he's absolutely still the best option, I would think. And remember, they are surrounding him theoretically with some more talent this season than he had last season. And they're also surrounding him with what I would assume would be a better coaching staff than what he had to deal with last season, certainly from an offensive standpoint. So, yeah, he gives them their highest ceiling of wins. And I also think if you like Aller, especially, we know how much talent he has. Why wouldn't you want him to learn a little something from Aaron Rodgers? I know historically speaking, Aaron doesn't have the reputation for being somebody who's going to take his time with the young players, whatever. But we certainly saw him apparently do that quite a bit last season. He was a good soldier last year. He really was. So to have a couple of young quarterbacks around him, I think is only a good thing. The only good thing if Aaron doesn't come this year is that they might go 5-12, and maybe that's what they need.
Yeah.
For a year, you could make that argument. But in terms of this season and of helping Howard and Aller, like I think you'd want Rodgers to come back ideally. I think the pros certainly outweigh the cons.
Yeah, I thought historically he's good to young guys because he doesn't want to be treated the way that Brett Favre treated him.
That's right.
So
probably true. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want Rodgers back because the same reason why I didn't want to suck to get Gavin McKenna. I don't want to go 4-12 if I don't have to. If I do, okay. But to quote the not great, but okay, Herm Edwards, you play to win the games. And that's what I want to do. And Mr. Rodgers helps us more than anybody else. And that's just the bottom line. If you want to win, he's the best option. If you want to suck, then have Drew Aller. Because I saw enough Penn State games.
Yeah. I mean, unless he, the chances, people thought that the chances of Will Howard becoming a good NFL starter were slim. It doesn't mean that because 3 rounds ahead of him is what Drew Aller is selected means he's all of a sudden going to be a guy. Like it's slim that either of them become a successful NFL quarterback. I don't know. I mean, you don't want to, people go, oh, he fixed Aaron, Mike McCarthy fixed Aaron Rodgers. Well, Aaron Rodgers went in the first round. Like, he wasn't some slouch, I don't know. I think it's weird, the discourse that like people are like, no, don't bring him back. We're stuck in the past, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what are you going to do? Like you might suck anyway. So might as well, go down, try and give these kids a chance. Don't throw them out there if you think there's any chance. And like you said, Josh, the only way that makes sense is if you're going to lose. If you're just going to lose and be bad, then this is the time to do it. But
right. But I still think, and I would like to see him with more weapons like he would theoretically have this season. And I would like to see him with a new coaching staff and a guy that he's had a lot of success with in the past in McCarthy. I'm intrigued at least.
You're absolutely right, Josh. I mean, here's the bottom line is he's going to have 3. Okay, you can complain. Oh, there's not number one. And he has 3 above the line receivers now. He's going to have a better offensive line. He's going to have a better number 2 option or maybe number 1 option at running back, the guy from Dallas. And he's going to have an offensive guru guy, not Mike Tomlin. it's all looking up as far as the offense this year.
Yeah.
It may all turn to shit, but at least it's a way better starting point than last year when they were saying he's going to come hang out with Coach T and just he wants to come eat Permanis. I mean, it's like he actually has an offense to come to this year.
That's right. Yeah. So I do hope it gets resolved soon, one way or the other. Though the circus is getting a little old, and I don't blame Aaron for all. I mean, I blame the Steelers as much as Aaron. It is May 12th. Like, you'd like to know who your quarterback is pretty soon here.
Kabali wants to get to the cabin at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I picture Aaron Rodgers coming out of his ayahuasca retreat and being like stunned that everybody's still talking about it. You know what I mean? Like he's just he's a different cat. He's a different guy.
That he is.
So, well, hey, we appreciate all of you guys for listening to us. We appreciate Danny's Pizza and Hoagies, Neophis Insurance, and Labatt Beer as well. And enjoy the hockey games, everybody. And you can watch Sidney Crosby over in the World Championships, and you might see Josh Yohe with a notepad standing next to him. So watch that, and we'll watch here next week, and we'll see you guys then.